Aren't you scared of me, Christ? Mr. Wonderful Christ! You're a joke! You're not the Lord! You are nothing but a fraud. Take him away. He's got nothing to say. Get out, you king of the... Get out, king of the... Oh! Get out, you king of the Jews! Get out of here! You... Get out of here, you! Get out of my life!
On busy days, you might not notice the livestock transportation trucks, but Anita Krantz noticed them and decided to invite everybody to bear witness with her. Anita has been an animal rights activist since the early 90s. She became an activist and vegetarian right after watching a documentary called The Animals Film, which exposes the way humans use animals. Anita lives in Toronto and has a pig slaughterhouse in her neighborhood, which never got her attention until she adopted a dog.
In the last federal election, the Australian Sex Party nearly got into the Senate. We've had the last 3 years to reflect on the important issues facing Australians. And what I'm about to say may surprise you. There's too much f***ing going on in Australia.
Huh?
No, really. I'll let others explain.
Wait, because we still can't get married. I'm because I got caught with this. Come on.
Because I can't die with dignity.
I'm because my school didn't teach me about f***ing.
If civil liberties are important to you, then vote for the Australian Sex Party, because as much as we like sex...
I'm going to say right here and now that I think the ABC were guilty of poor judgment in broadcasting that material, which was obviously difficult for Australia's national security and long-term best interests. Even Tanya Plibersek says that that material would have been better not broadcast. So I think the ABC was guilty of very, very poor judgment. I think they were also guilty of poor judgment in acting as an advertising agent for The Guardian. I mean, why would Australia's national broadcaster be in the business of touting for a left-wing British newspaper? My intention is to speak plainly and candidly with the Australian people in the hope that ABC management will see sense. Why should the ABC be acting as an advertising agent for a left-wing British newspaper? Let's face it, the ABC under its charter is not supposed to carry advertising.
My name is Dr. Paul Saba. I'm a family physician who practices family medicine in Lachine, Quebec, Canada. I want to appeal to you, Your Majesty, as King of Belgium, not to sign the law extending euthanasia to children. In Canada, they are planning to pass a euthanasia law here in Quebec, where I live. And this will have an impact eventually on our children. If you sign your law, euthanasia will be extended not only to children in your country, but also to the children of the world. What started off with adults is now being extended to children. We cannot allow this to happen. There are millions of children born every year with congenital malformations, including our daughter, Jessica. Jessica was born with a severe cardiac malformation. If she was born in a country where euthanasia is permitted, she could have been euthanized.
Time now for the ridiculous, and tonight we're adding a veritable cornucopia of pot-centric 911 calls. Now, the most recent being just this week, police were called to a house just off the University of Maryland campus. 3 masked men allegedly broke into the house where police say 5 college students live. Now, one of the students called 911, and in the course of telling the dispatcher what happened, he said that the masked man asked him for drugs and money, and then this.
So he asked you for money and drugs, and did he get it?
He took my weed and took my rent money.
He took my weed. I always wonder what compels people to volunteer that kind of information. Are pot enthusiasts just incredibly honest? Maybe there's some mechanism in the body wherein when bong resin meets Dorito dust, they're somehow distilled into a natural version of sodium pentothal. I don't know. Why else, for instance, would this guy in Connecticut call 911?
Well, I have a legal question.
Well, it's not. Is this an emergency?
I don't know what that means. I was just growing some marijuana. I was just wondering how much, trouble you can get into for one plant.
You're growing marijuana and you want to know how much. Depends on how big the plant is.
It's only a seedling.
No, it's possession.
Yeah, so the police were there in a flash, and they arrested that guy. No joint investigation or anything, just drove on over, picked the guy up. The officer said it was definitely a first, but it's not the best. We have saved the best for last. This is our favorite. We played it before. The police officer who himself calls 911 after he and his wife decided to unwind one evening by mixing up a batch of pot brownies. Here are the best parts. Bon appetit.
I think I'm having an overdose, and so is my wife.
Okay, you and your wife?
Yes.
Overdose of what?
Marijuana. I think we're dying.
Okay, how much did you guys have?
I don't know. We made brownies, and I think we're dead. I really do. Time is going by really, 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 really slow.
Do you guys do this on a regular basis?
No, this is the first time that we've ever done it.
And you've never done marijuana before?
Yeah, I have.
And you've never had this reaction to it before?
No, ever. What's the score in the Red Wings game?
What?
What's the score in the Red Wings game?
I've got no clue. I don't watch the Red Wings.
So you got to give it to the 911 operators. They have to keep calm during life and death situations, help people in their darkest hours, and they also have to answer calls from people baked out of their minds on pot brownies wanting to know hockey scores. It's a tall order and sometimes a high one.
And a breakup. Go.
Listen, this is just beyond the pale. Firstly, the Greens are the party of protest. They're a party of idiots. I've been at parties that have lasted longer than the Greens, that have had more booze, and at the end of them, after everyone had been drinking for 40 years, they still made more sense than the Greens. The Greens are lunatics. They are idiots. They are imbeciles. They are undergraduates. For one thing, their key argument was that the government was too close to the big 3 miners, that that the deal it had cut with BHP and Rio Tinto and the other one, that this had somehow made, that's right, and John Paul George.
Keep going. You're on the
somehow this that it didn't raise any revenue because it was too soft because they hadn't made it stringent enough. They hadn't made the mining tax stringent enough. They cut that deal before the Greens signed the agreement to go into coalition with them. They cut the deal and the Greens said, yes, that's fantastic. And then when they get pretty much everything else that they want, but it turns out that the tax is a complete turkey, which everyone knew it would be, except the Greens go, oh, we don't like you because you signed up with this big thing. I mean, what did they think they were doing in there behind closed doors? Did they think it was another 70s fondue party? Like, this is rubbish. If the Greens were a person, they would be a psychopath. That is an absolute psychopathic tendency. You are not giving me everything I want, therefore you are dead to me and I will destroy you. Correct. They are a party. There is an idea that the Greens are just a benign kind of force. And yes, they are benign as long as, and only as long as, they are completely impotent. You give them the remotest amount of power, you give them the remotest amount of decision-making capability. I mean, democracy, liberal democracy, is a china shop. It is a delicate system. And the Greens are this giant, steaming bull that are just running through it like mad little undergraduate children waving flags and preaching revolution. They should get up, get on the next boat to Cuba and leave the rest of us normal people alone.